Good afternoon, I'm Raine Musñgi and this is Newsfeed. 2 more cases of mpox have been reported by the health department. This brings to 5 the total active cases after 3 patients were earlier identified. The new cases are a 26-year-old female from Metro Manila and a 12-year-old male from Calabarzon. Both contracted the milder variant Clade II. Scientists studying the more lethal mpox strain warn the virus is mutating faster than expected. The scientists from Africa, Europe, and the United States tell Reuters there are still multiple unknowns about mpox, its severity, and how it is transmitting. They add, mpox is mostly spreading in areas in Africa where experts lack the funds and equipment to track the disease. WHO has earlier declared the deadlier strain a public health emergency of international concern. The virus is often spread through close, intimate contact.
We are still working blindly in Africa. We don't have the required knowledge about mpox, natural history, transmission dynamics, risk factors of mpox.
I'm concerned because this is now a sexually transmitted infection. And we have seen how sexually transmitted infections can spread in Africa.
Former presidential political affairs advisor Ronald Llamas believes Vice President Sara Duterte will seek the presidency in 2028 to ensure her family's survival. Llamas also tells BNC's At the Forefront Duterte may have already regretted not running for president in 2022.
Convicted yan. Well, at tingin ko nagsisisi na sila na bakit hindi sila tumakbo for president noong 2022. At ang tingin ko, ang kanilang calculation, yung makakasalba lang sa kanila ay for Vice President Sara to run for president. Dahil kung titignan mo, Karen, ang hinaharap nila ngayon is an existential crisis. Yung very survival nila ay nakataya.
Llamas adds the Duterte camp may try to weather first the 2025 midterm elections, but based on recent polls, it may be a challenge.
Ang problema ay bumababa rin yung kanilang approval rating. Bumababa rin yung presidential preference for Sara. Kaya hindi sila nakakasigurado, even if they survive the midterms, kung sila pa rin ang frontliner.
Llamas says he wouldn't be surprised if the vice president will drop further surveys or drop in further surveys, especially after her recent behavior during budget deliberations in Congress.
Dito kasi na-expose yung kanyang sarili. No? At tingin ko, mas negative for her as vice president. Ang tingin ko, itong kanyang engagement sa Senate at saka dito sa House ay hindi makakatulong sa kanya. Lalo na ay yung kanilang political base ay naubos na. Yung PDP, laban, ay halos wala ng mga miyembro, ng mga kongresista. At mismo yung 4 na senador na miyembro ng PDP ay nabawasan na ng isa, si Francis Tolentino. Ganon din yung hugpo ng pagbabago, yung partido ni Vice President Sara. Naubos na halos yung mga miyembro at yung kaunting natira ay nasuspindi pa. No? Katulad na ni Governor Hubahib. No? Kaya yun yung una, yung political base ay na-erode, nag-hemorrhage. Ikalawa ay yung kanyang approval rating. Nitong past few months ay dramatic yung pagbaba. Halimbawa, nitong nakaraang mga araw, sa SWS ay bumaba siya ng 19 points. Sa Oculum survey, bumaba siya ng 19 points in terms of presidential preference naman. At sa Okta ay bumaba siya ng more than 15 points. 2 months ago. So, nagpapatuloy yung kanyang pagbaba. At itong pagharap niya sa Kongreso, tingin ko ay i-assure na bababa na naman siya sa mga susunod na survey. So, hindi ito nakakatulong sa kanya.
Senate hearings on dismissed Bamban Mayor Alice Go and her departure from the country may not be coming to an end anytime soon, or at least not until she is found. That's according to Senate President Chiz Escudero. Agatha Gregorio has more on this. Agatha, go ahead.
Raine when Senate President Chiz Escudero was asked about terminating hearings on Guo. He asked how this could be done when Guo has yet to be found. Guo left for Malaysia undetected in July. The Senate issued an arrest order against her for absences in hearings on Philippine offshore gaming operations. At the Kapian sa Manila Bay, Escudero also called the lack of a general aviation terminal a large loophole in our country. This is a terminal for non-commercial flights, and Escudero says it is necessary to have this in all international airports to ensure that no one with a warrant of arrest can leave the country. Escudero also expressed doubts Alice's supposed sister, Sheila, saying that their exit was through a boat. On the heated exchange between members of the House and Vice President Sara Duterte on the OVP budget, Escudero says that Duterte may not be considered a friend to some House lawmakers, but he hopes that this changes in the next hearing. Duterte repeatedly said on Tuesday's hearing she would forgo defending her office's budget through question and answer with congressmen. It also seems to Escudero as though Duterte is not used to having people disagree with her, but the lawmaker showed admiration over the patience shown by the chamber during the hearing. Back to you, Raine.
Thank you so much for that report, Agatha Gregorio, live from the Senate. The administration's senatorial slate for the 2025 midterm polls is not yet final. Former Senate President Tito Sotto says the Nationalista Party, Lakas CMD, Partido Federal ng Pilipinas, NPC, and National Unity Party are still completing the list of names that their coalition will be fielding in the elections next year. An initial list recently went around social media, which included Sotto, who is chairman of NPC. But Sotto says they expect to finalize their senatorial slate on September 15th. Israeli special forces have rescued an Israeli hostage from a tunnel in southern Gaza. The military says the hostage, 52-year-old Qaid Farhan al-Qadi, was abducted 10 months ago by Hamas-led gunmen. Al-Qadi is a member of the Bedouin community in southern Israel and is now in hospital in stable condition. Al-Qadi's rescue leaves 108 Israeli and foreign hostages still in Gaza, with a third of them known to have died, while the others' fates are still unknown. Meanwhile, the death toll from the ongoing Israeli attacks on Gaza Strip has already reached 40,476. The number of injured in the attacks are higher, more than 90,000, since the conflict broke out in October last year. Health authorities in Gaza also reported heavy casualties during the past 24 hours, with 41 deaths and over 100 people injured. Meanwhile, Elvis Presley's gold rings and a letter written by the Beach Boys. These are just some of the items up for auction this weekend in New York. Other rare collectibles from the worlds of music and film are also featured in the auction, like items from Prince and Aaliyah. Auctioneer Bridget Cruz of the Cruz GWS Auction says the event has some pretty powerful pieces as far as emotional connections for people is concerned. But the top lots are several items that belong to the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, particularly 2 unique gold rings.
I think one of my favorites is the ram ring with diamonds on it. This was Elvis's ring that he gifted to one of his backup singers from How Great Thou Art. I would expect these rings to go as high as 35 to 60,000. There really is a range there, but you never know until auction day. But we've sold so many Elvis Presley artifacts. Based on my experience, I would say that they would sell in that range.
Those are the news this hour. I'm Raine Musñgi. Stay tuned to BNC for more top-of-the-hour news on Free TV Channel 31 and on our website, bnc.ph. Thank you for watching.